Hi guys, welcome back to Demetra's Dishes. So today we're making cinnamon rolls. They're going to be homemade, they're going to be decadent, and they're going to be delicious. So we're using the brioche dough that I made in a previous episode. I'm going to put the link for the episode and the recipe in the description box down below. I always have the links in that box, so make sure you check it out. I have my brioche dough that I had frozen, that I defrosted in my refrigerator overnight. And then this is the filling for the cinnamon rolls that I have in this bowl. We're going to need a little bit of very soft, room temperature, unsalted butter, some brown sugar, you could use light or dark, whatever you like, some cinnamon, some white sugar, and a pinch of salt. Now, what we're going to do, we'll start with this is what you call like the schmear or the smear, whatever you want to call it. You want to mix everything all together. And this is just going to give that cinnamon flavor, and it's going to make it really nice and sweet and sticky. And which is so simple. You just mix everything up. And then what I like to do is I like to put the butter in here as well. Some people like to melt this butter and put it on the dough and then sprinkle this on top, but I find that this method is better. I tested this recipe many times, by the way. So I'm just going to mix this all up. Alright, so this is what it looks like when it's all combined. It's going to be wet and it smells really, really good. The cinnamon and the brown sugar is awesome. I'm going to put this on the side, and I'm going to put some all-purpose flour on my board just to help this dough roll out. This is a really easy dough to roll out, and I had this already in my freezer because I like to make extra double batches of dough whenever I'm making it. But you can totally make this the same day that you're making your rolls. That's fine. It's just that it rolls out much easier. It's easier to work with when it's cold. So I'm going to roll this out into a rectangle. The size, a little bit bigger than the pan that I'm going to use, which is like a lasagna pan. Those are usually like 9 by 13. So I'm going to roll it out to like 9 by 17. I'm not measuring, you guys. You'll see what I mean. So this is the pan that I'm using, and that's around the size you need it to be. Just a little bit bigger than the pan. And it does not need to be perfect. Just like that. The problem is if you're going to make this too big, then what's going to happen is you're not going to have enough of the filling. It's going to be kind of empty, so try to not roll it out too big. This dough really rolls out very easily. You're going to see how easy it is to work with. I love brioche dough. It's buttery, you can make like a million recipes with this, sweet and savory. So I'm using my hands. You could use your hands or a little spatula like this. I just like to use my hands. I'm going to spread it out really nicely. And I'm going to finish off with the spatula just to get it almost to the edges. Alright, so at this point you can definitely add some raisins if you wanted to, or any dry fruit. You can add some walnuts or pecans, pretty much whatever you really feel like putting in here. I'm going to keep it really simple today, and I'm just going to roll it up pretty tightly. I'm not going to make it loose, so that way it can stay together. The filling can stay in here really nicely. And for extra protection, if you want to, you can always brush some water on the seam to seal it. I'm not going to do it today. This is good enough. So I like to cut this in 12 servings. You can do smaller servings if you like. These 12 servings are pretty big, so it's up to you how big you want them to be. So first, cut it in half. And then you want to do 6 on each side. Like this, you cut it into 12 pretty even pieces. You want to get your tray and just put them in here. Try not to lose their shape. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this in plastic wrap, and I'm going to put it in a warm place in my house. I'm going to let these rise till they're about like double in volume. It can take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, maybe an hour and 15-20 minutes. It all depends. I like using my dryer for this. I talked about this method in previous videos. Really what I do is I run my clothing dryer for a little while until it gets nice and hot. Then I'll put a towel in there and release some of the heat. Then I put this in there while the dryer is off, of course. and any kind of bread you're making or any yeast dough rises super fast like that. So I'm going to do that. You don't have to do it. You can just leave it on the side and just let it rise until it's doubled in volume. In the meantime, I'm going to preheat my oven to 350 degrees, and we'll be back as soon as these are nice and risen. All right, so my cinnamon rolls actually took about 40 minutes to rise in my dryer. Normally, if the dough was at room temperature or a little bit warmer, they would have taken probably 30 minutes, but 40 minutes is not too bad. If I would have left them on the counter, they would have taken about an hour. So they've risen really nicely. I don't know if you could see them or not. Here they are. And they're gonna rise some more once they bake in the oven. So they're gonna fluff up and fill up the pan really nicely. Now, I have this little bit over here that I had cut off the ends, and I'm just gonna let it cook over here on the side. I definitely don't wanna overcrowd the pan. Now, I'm going to bake these at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes, but every time I bake, I like to raise the temperature in the oven about, 15 or 20 degrees higher, so sometimes 25, just depends. I have my oven preheated to 375, but when I put these in, I'm going to reduce it to 350 and let them cook for 30 minutes. Now, this is really rich, so buttery, and it's really decadent. It's like one of those desserts you don't want to eat all the time. You want to eat them once in a while, and all you need is a little bit. But and they're going to be super moist as is, but I've made them pouring a couple tablespoons of cream over them, heavy whipping cream, before I bake them. So if you want to do that, it's going to make them even more moist, and it's going to leave sort of like a nice gooey caramel kind of sauce on the bottom, and they taste super, even more decadent. So if you want to do that, what you would do is at this point, pour a little bit of heavy whipping cream. I would say about 2 tablespoons over each one, like right here, right now, and then put them in and bake them for the same amount of time. I'm going to show you what they look like when they come out. Right after I put these in, we're going to get together the icing that we're going to put on top. All right, so while the cinnamon rolls are baking, we're going to make the cream cheese glaze or icing, whatever you want to call it. It's basically my cream cheese frosting that I use to make lots of other recipes. I'm just cutting it in half, and I'm going to thin it out with some milk. But we're going to use some really good, high quality, pure vanilla extract. I'm using Mexican vanilla because I like it these days. It's extra, has more pungent, stronger vanilla flavor. I'm using some whole milk, but you can use heavy cream if that's what you were pouring on top of the cinnamon rolls before you bake them. I'm using full fat cream cheese, some unsalted butter, and sifted powdered sugar. You want to make sure you sift the sugar so that way you don't get clumps. You can definitely make this icing in your stand mixer or with a hand mixer. I just don't feel like dirtying anything today, so I'm just going to make this in this bowl and mix it by hand with a fork and a whisk and a spatula. What I'm going to do is combine my butter and my cream cheese, and make sure you guys use full fat cream cheese. Don't get that low fat stuff. It ruins the flavor. They have to add a whole bunch of artificial stuff that's horrible for you and doesn't taste good at all. If you're eating a dessert, eat a smaller piece, but let it be really tasty. So you want to make sure that your cream cheese and your butter are at room temperature and really nice and soft, so that way everything combines easily. I'm going to put a teaspoon of this lovely vanilla extract in here, and then I'm going to start adding my powdered sugar a little bit at a time, and I'm going to keep adding until it all comes together and it's all well combined. So once it's all nice and combined, I'm going to add in the milk, about 2 tablespoons, and I'm going to thin it out. And I'm going to keep mixing this. So this is the consistency that you're looking for. You're going to need to add anywhere between 2 to 4, maybe even 5 tablespoons of milk to get it like this. You can even make it a little bit thinner, but really I wouldn't, because it's going to melt when you put it over the rolls, and you want it to have some kind of nice texture on there. So I'm going to leave this on the side and wait for my cinnamon rolls to finish baking, and then we're going to smear it on top. Alright, so my cinnamon rolls took exactly 30 minutes in the oven at 350 degrees. Here they are. They're gorgeous. Beautiful. Now we're going to smear this delicious cream cheese icing on top. So ideally you want this to sit and sort of cool down a little bit and absorb all of the like syrup that's formed on the bottom, because the brown sugar and the butter melted, and on the bottom of this, if you were to take out a piece, it'd be really like caramelly and syrupy. So you want that to absorb and sort of set, as well as the glaze. You want it to kind of seep through. So if you can leave it for like, if you can leave it for like 35 minutes, 45 minutes, up to an hour, it'd be perfect. But I'm not gonna wait that long because I wanna dig in and just show you what it looks like. So I'll let it sit for about 5 more minutes and then we'll dig into this and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so technically they should sit for at least like 15-20 minutes more, but I don't have patience, so I'm just gonna take one out to show it to you. Let's hope it doesn't fall apart. Look at this. Ooh, look at it. It's ooey. Look at that syrup on the bottom. That's what I'm talking about. This caramel stuff down here. If we wait a little bit, all of it absorbs and it becomes extra moist, extra gooey. That is just beautiful. Here it is, ooey gooey, delicious, sweet cinnamon rolls that you can make at home. It tastes better than anything you've ever tried anywhere else as far as a cinnamon roll goes. As always, I put the exact measurements of everything, of all my recipes, on my website. So be sure to check it out. I post a link down below in the description box. Post your comments down below. Let me know how it turned out, what you thought, if you've made any additions or changes, and how you liked it. I've been doing a lot of dessert recipes lately. I was thinking of adding like a cake segment on how to decorate cakes and that kind of stuff. If you want to learn how to make cakes, I can start showing you how to do that. I don't know if you know, but we do have a bakery, so I would love to teach you guys how to make cakes. Anyway, get this recipe and more. I would bite into it, but it needs to cool just a little bit more. I'll just have this piece right here. While I do that, get this recipe and make it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.